What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my NFL DFS picks for Monday night, and we have two really good games here. We have the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New England Patriots, and we also have the Green Bay Packers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Two games I'm really looking forward to. Before we break down this slate, if you guys can leave a like on the video, subscribe if you are not subscribed already, would really appreciate that a ton. Almost to 7,000 subs. Would love to get that by the end of the week. So thank you guys for all your support, and we're going to get into it here, starting with the quarterbacks. And Patrick Mahomes, you can never go wrong with Mahomes, especially on a two-game slate like this. He has tons of upside. Obviously, probably the highest upside quarterback play on the slate easily here at 7,600. Last week, he had himself a game against Baltimore, 43 DraftKings points, threw the ball 42 times with 385 yards, 5 total touchdowns. I mean, that's something he's capable of doing every game here. Decent matchup against New England. I know New England has a pretty solid defense, but man, I really like Mahomes this week, especially on this two-game slate here. Just due to the upside, he's able to be stacked with guys like Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Travis KELCE, guys like that we'll talk about. But Mahomes is probably my favorite option at quarterback. It's between him and one other guy who we'll get into. Aaron Rodgers is intriguing. It's just he's missing so many weapons, and Devontae Adams being out, that really it may hurt Aaron Rodgers here. And it's against Atlanta, one of the worst passing defenses in the league. It's a great matchup. It's just I don't know if he has the weapons to really do anything. And we'll kind of talk about some of his weapons, but I think Aaron Rodgers is fine. It's just I'd rather play, Aaron Jones instead of Rodgers here. I'd rather go up and get Mahomes or somebody I really like here, and that's Matt Ryan. And I'm always a fan of playing Matt Ryan, and that's because he throws the ball a ton. 54 attempts in week 1, 36 in week 2, 38 in week 3. He has 40-plus pass attempt upside here. So Ryan is somebody I'm looking at 6,200 against a Packers defense who, isn't all that great. So I do think he can more than definitely succeed here. Of course, his top weapons are a little beat up. Ridley's, a little beat up. Julio Jones is a little beat up as well, but I believe they're both playing, so he's going to have everybody there. I think Ryan's a fine option just due to the volume, and this should probably be a high-scoring game. So if you don't want to pay down a little bit off of Mahomes, 6,200 for Ryan's not a bad idea. And if you really want to punt at quarterback, Brian Hoyer, but honestly, I'm not going to go there. On this slate, I was messing around making lineups. You really don't need to go down here and get Brian Hoyer. I think you can go up and get Mahomes pretty easily. My next option would be Matt Ryan. Getting into the running backs here, and I'm just going to plug him in. That's Aaron Jones. No Adams. Jones is going to get a lot of action here. 16 attempts in week 3. He also had 4 targets, 2 receptions, a touchdown. He has a lot of upside here. He's going to get the volume, and I really like Aaron Jones. I'm really high on this guy, and a really good matchup against Atlanta as well. 7,300. I'm just going to lock him into my lineup here on a 2-game slate. Lots of upside, and then same with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I really like the price of 6,200. Last week, he did have 20 attempts, 6 targets, 5 receptions. So the volume is most definitely there. And we all know the deal with Kansas City Chiefs starting running back. Doesn't matter who they put back there, they're going to do very good. I think 6,200 is a steal. So Edwards-Helaire and Jones is somebody I'm probably going to have in my lineup most likely. Todd Gurley is very interesting at 5,500. 14 attempts in week 3, 21 rushing attempts in week 2, 14 in week 1. He's getting he's averaging about a reception a game as well. So the volume's there against the Green Bay defense who gave up a ton of points to Alvin Kamara. And of course, Gurley's no Alvin Kamara, but I do think he can do decent. So 5,500 is not a bad look against Green Bay, who is one of the worst running defenses so far throughout these first couple weeks here. And then getting into the New England running backs, I mean, you can play Burkhead. There's not going to be any Michelle. It's really hard to decide who's going to go off. I'm sure one of them will have a good game, either Burkhead or White. I'm probably leaning more towards White just due to the fact that he's able to go out there and catch balls. He hasn't played since week 1. In that game, he did have 3 targets, 3 receptions. The thing that's going to hurt here is no Cam Newton. So I think that's going to affect their offense a lot. So I'm not all that interested in the New England offense. And other than that, you have guys like Williams, I guess, if you want to really punt down at running back. But you really don't have to this week. I was able to make pretty much any lineup I wanted, honestly. So Hill, I don't really think you need to play these guys. Now getting into the wide receivers, Adams is doubtful. I believe they just said he's not playing. Ridley is somebody I like. He's a little beat up, but he is going to play along with Julio Jones. And it seems like it's the Ridley show so far. So 13 targets in week 3, 10 targets in week 2. 12 targets in week 1. He's getting a ton of targets, a ton of volume against a Green Bay defense who isn't all that great. And he's going to get a ton of opportunities. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, Matt Ryan passes the ball a ton. So Ridley is somebody I really like. 6,900. Tyreek Hill, of course, is always in place. 6,800. Probably somebody I'm going to go to. 6 targets in week 3, 11 in week 2, 6 in week 1. The volume is there. That big play threat is there. He's somebody you do want to play on these showdown slates, on these 2-game slates. Hill's somebody you definitely want to get in your lineups due to the upside that he brings. 21 points in week 3, 21 points in week 2, 15.6 in week 1. He has a ton of upside. And if you are playing Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Mahomes combo is not a bad look whatsoever. All right, other than that, Julio Jones, it's just weird seeing him at 6,000, but he is a little beat up. Only 4 targets in week 2, which is a little concerning. So we don't know if Julio is going to be 100%. Probably not. So I don't know how much Julio I'm going to have. It's just seeing him at 6,000. It's just weird. In week 1, 12 targets, 9 receptions, 27 points. It's just, how good is he feeling right now? How is he going to perform? I think it's worth the risk. He's probably going to be low owned because there are those question marks of Julio Jones. So I don't know, 6,000. It seems way too cheap for Julio, banged up or not, against Green Bay here. So I think Julio's a good play. All right, and then Edelman, I'm not going to mess around with Edelman this week. No Cam Newton. He is a little banged up himself. 6 targets, 2 receptions last week, 4.2 points. I mean, I'm probably just going to stay away from this New England offense as a whole. If anything, maybe some James White, but I think that the Chiefs should most definitely roll here. Other than that, this is a great play here. VALDES-SCANTLIng, 4,900. Pretty much the only wide receiver on the Packers right now, so he's bound to do good. Not the most talented player in the world, but he should be getting a lot of volume here. 4 targets last week, only 1 reception. Man, it's really going to be exciting to see how this Packers offense is going to perform with VALDES-SCANTLIng, pretty much the only wide receiver that's even relevant right now. And we'll talk about some of the other guys, but he's going to get the opportunities, so maybe he can have a good game against Atlanta. The matchup is definitely there. The price is there. So Scantling, somebody I actually do like this week against Atlanta, who has one of the worst passing defenses in the league so far. And then Russell Gage is not a bad look, 4,500. Matt Ryan throws the ball a ton, so Gage should get a decent amount of targets. Only 3 in week 3, but he did have 9 targets in week 2, 12 targets in week 1. I do think he'll get around the 5 to 10 target range. So not a bad look at 4,500 here. Sammy Watkins is a very interesting option here. 8 targets in week 3, 7 receptions, 9 targets in week 1. I think he might have been hurt or something in week 2. But he's good now. 13.2 points in week 3, 21.5 in week 1. So, I mean, they're using Watkins a lot more this year than they did last year. So I do think at 4,300, he has some upside there. So Watkins is somebody I'm looking at for kind of a cheap wide receiver. And there's a lot of value in this wide receiver range. Scantling's a good play. Gage is a good play. Watkins is a good play. Other than that, Harry, 3,900, it's intriguing, but no Cam Newton. I just don't really want to mess around with that. And we'll talk about some of these Packers wide receivers. You see those IRs there. Shepard, 3,000. It's really hard to tell who's going to do what. Taylor is also 3,000. We just don't know about these guys, but if you want to punt down at wide receiver, I don't think you need to this week. But Taylor and Shepard are going to be the wide receiver 2 and 3 in the offense, so like I said, you don't really have to punt down, though. Getting into tight end, of course, we have the number 1 option of Travis KELCE. If you want to pay up for a tight end, he's obviously a fantastic play here. 7 targets, 6 receptions week 3, 14.7 points. He's been very consistent all year, scoring fairly well. So KELCE is somebody, if you can fit him, he's a great play. Hurst is somebody that's interesting. 4,200. Only 1 reception last week on 3 targets against Chicago. Against Dallas, he did have 8 targets, 5 receptions. So I guess he's not really, I don't know. Austin Hooper did a lot better than Hurst is doing so far, but I do think there is some upside for Hurst still. He just needs the opportunities, and he's getting them, but you'd like to see more than 3 targets out of him, but I think Hurst is fine. Packers tight end here, Robert Tonyan. I guess he's a decent option. They don't have much on offense, so he's got 5 targets last week, 5 receptions against the Saints. Did have a touchdown in week 2 and 3, so looks like Rodgers is using him here, so 3,800 is not a bad play for Tonyan. So if it was to punt down at tight end, it would be Tonyan there, but probably going up and getting KELCE most likely here. And then just one more thing I want to talk about before we get out of here, and that is the Chiefs defense. So the Chiefs going against the Patriots. I just think with no Cam Newton, I think they'll succeed. And they have been looking actually pretty decent this year as well. Against Baltimore, 7 points. Very, very impressive. Against the Chargers, 5 points. Against Houston, only 7 points as well. So they're pretty consistent. I think it's a solid matchup here against New England with no Cam Newton. It's really going to be interesting to see how the Patriots do perform. But I think the Chiefs defense is a pretty solid play. So going to give kind of an example lineup here. I will start with the Chiefs defense. Running back, I want to get Jones in there. I want to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire in there. For wide receivers, you can go down and punt. Give me Scantling. Give me Watkins. Tight end. We'll punt with Tonyan here. And then quarterback, it's tough. Matt Ryan or Mahomes. We'll go Mahomes for now. Other wide receiver, either Hill sounds pretty good. And then flex, we're left with 5,100. Burkhead. White. Man. I do want... We'll get GURLEY in there. And then we got to make a change here. All right, this is fine. Gage right here. Okay, so Mahomes, Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Gage, Watkins, Hill, Tonyan, GURLEY, and the Chiefs. I don't know if I'm using this lineup or not, but just kind of an example lineup to see, kind of show you guys where my head is at here. So that's about it, guys. If you guys enjoyed this content, if it helped you out at all, please leave a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and make sure you guys look out for my other NFL content, the other content I put on my channel. And yep, good luck on this slate. That should be pretty entertaining here, and see you guys.